Holy means to live in God's footsteps and go to church and pray.
Go to church a lot, attend church a lot, and to help out a lot of people.
I guess just follow the teachings and preachings of Jesus Christ.
Know your faith and to know what is good between good and evil.
To really live out your faith.
You're just so enveloped in being a Christian, and it's just amazing.
Just to have some kind of relationship and a connection and not to lose that contact.
It's to have a connection with God, to understand God's presence and just treat him with the respect he deserves.
To have a strong relationship with God
is to live a lifestyle that God wants you to, be a servant of God.
I think to be holy means that, you live the way that Jesus lived when he was walking the earth, and that you try to treat everybody with respect, no matter what.
Most people don't think of themselves as being holy.
They automatically think of someone else, elderly relatives, priests, nuns, or saints.
Many people feel that they are not holy and never could be holy because they've done too many things wrong.
Others feel that to be holy, you need to be perfect in God's eyes, so they just don't bother trying.
Some even feel that being holy would mean leading a dull and boring life.
So what does it mean to be holy? What makes people holy? That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Jack.
And I'm Catherine.
And this is Realfaith TV.
We heard the teens on the street tell us what they think makes people holy.
We'll talk with them again later in the show, and we'll also talk with our studio guests about holiness.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Tony Melendez, who is a Christian contemporary singer and songwriter.
Born without arms, he plays the guitar with his feet.
Let's meet Tony now and find out how he defines holiness.
To me, to be holy is to be good, but not just good, godly.
Right.
If you can be, an image of Christ, to me, that's what holy means. Well, I think we could be unholy, especially if we don't want him. If we keep pushing him away, we could fall off his path at any time.
Do we have control over our holiness? Is being holy a blessing from God or an action on our part?
I really say being holy is a two-sided thing. You're always going to have him.
Yep.
I really believe God's going to be there no matter what. But we have to also take, the reins and say, well, I want to be good. I want to do this. I want to do something for God. Serve Him, serve others. So to me, it's a two-sided thing. Having holiness does change you. It gives you a fullness. You feel whole with that holiness. In my case, the arms are missing, but it doesn't matter because that wholeness in my heart. Jesus just carries you.
And I think a lot of people hear the word holiness and they kind of get turned off by it, and they think, oh, well, if I'm holy, my life's going to be boring. But it's totally the opposite. Once you're holy, just like you said, it makes you whole, and you're with your Creator, and you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, and not just that, but if you feel confident, if you have that holiness, people sense that, I think. People feel it, they see it in you, and the example that you can be maybe to those that aren't so strong in their faith. They might want to come and cling on to you and say, hey, what's so special? What do you have that maybe can help me?
If I had to define holiness, I'd probably say that someone who's holy is someone who treats everybody like Jesus was that person, like Jesus told us to treat others as if everyone is him, because he's in everybody. I mean, to me, that's a holy person.
Let's find out how our studio guests define holiness.
Let's meet them. They are Meredith, Caitlin, Elias, Jessica, Ian, and Alex.
So what do you think it means to be holy?
I think to be holy, it means that you're Christ-like, and like one of the girls said in the Rollins, she talked about how being more like Christ was when he was on earth, and loving people as he did, and being kind and respectful.
I think to be holy, you have to lead a very moral life and be compassionate and selfless.
I think it means to follow the 10 Commandments, because those are the rules that God set down for us, and to be Christ-like, you have to follow his rules, and those are the rules.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you also have to be dedicated to your religion and to God. like, you also have to be a good person. So in being dedicated, you become a better person.
I think it's part of having your priorities in order. You always have God first, then comes family, then friends, and it keeps going down the list. But part of being holy, I think, is to have God always on top.
And it's also just being an all-around good person, you know, following God's teachings and knowing when to be able to lend a helping hand when you need to.
I just think it's hard, though, because we all know what it is to be holy, but how many of us really are holy? Because I know I don't really picture myself as holy, just because I guess I feel like I'm too normal.
Yeah, today's world, it's kind of like holiness is something that's so high and everything, you know. You don't want to say like, oh, that it just seems too much. Augustine of Hippo felt that he too could never be holy.
He was an extremely intelligent man.
His life consisted of partying, constant entertainment, and worldly ambitions.
His mother, Monica, prayed for him throughout his life.
Even once he realized the truth, Augustine still felt he couldn't be a Christian because he had done too much wrong to live a pure and holy life.
When he learned that people far less educated than himself were able to change their ways and follow Christ, he felt ashamed.
Augustine knew that he was wasting the gift of wisdom that God had given to him.
He read as much as he could about Christianity and embraced the faith.
Eventually, he became a bishop, founded an order of priests, and wrote about the faith.
He is known today as St. Augustine.
He is a famous example of how we are always called to be holy, no matter who we are or how many things we have previously done wrong.
We are all called to holiness.
Who are the people you would call holy?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
Who would you call holy? Like famous people or people in like everyday life?
I'd probably call my mom holy because she looks to God a lot, especially when she has no one to turn to, and she believes in him so much.
I would call my youth minister and theology teachers really holy because they show what it's like to be a Catholic.
A few of my teachers. A couple of my parents. Priests, my youth minister, my parents.
I'd say my parents too, because they follow that whole religious thing, and I really look up to them for that.
My mom, really.
Definitely my youth minister. He is just so in touch with God, and he loves everyone, and he sees Jesus in everyone.
I consider like my grandma very holy, I think, because she's really devoted to God, and also like my youth group leader.
I know a couple priests. They pretty nice people.
Definitely Pope John Paul II.
Above all else, Pope John Paul II. God bless him. I would also consider my dad pretty holy. He is like, whenever he's not in business, he's usually spending time with the family, going to church, praying. Like, I cannot imagine my life in faith without my dad. It's just, he's so holy.
Mother Teresa, of course, and just all the popes from the past, especially Pope John Paul II, and just in my life, my grandparents, they go to church every single day. They say prayer, they say grace before every single meal. They pray the rosary every night before they go to sleep. They're the most holy people I know, and I love them for that.
Of all the people in my life, I'd probably have to say my grandfather, because to me, he's like, whenever I have a choice to make, I'll just say, what would Grandpa do? Because seriously, he's never mad at anything. He always is there for everybody, and he's always puts the best outlook on everything, and he goes to church and helps out with the parish a lot, and he's just really, and his whole life, he's been like just a model of what you should do.
Yeah, my grandpa, he passed away a few years ago, but he was such a holy man. He raised a bunch of kids, and he was very busy in his business and everything, but he always kept in touch with God, and he made sure his family went to church, and he became a Knight of Malta. And then when I was a young little kid, he used to teach me about all the saints, and he was the one that introduced saint videos into my life. And he taught me a lot about one saint, and that name became my confirmation name.
Yeah, I think Pope John Paul II is a very holy man. He was compassionate, he led a moral life, and he was also extremely selfless, and he is like the definition of holy.
I think my parents are, you know, we go to church every Sunday no matter what. They have very, very strong faith in God, And if there's ever a problem or some trouble or something, they are always the first ones to say, pray to God about it, he'll fix it or give you the answer. And I admire them so much for that.
I have to say my parents are also very holy. They're very active in the church, and they're always, you know, leading me in a Christ-like lifestyle. And they've really taught me so much about faith, and I really think that I would consider them as holy people.
I'd say my dad is pretty holy. Probably the most holy in my family, because whenever we get into a predicament, he's always talking about how he'd bring up like Bible stories and tell us how it would relate to it. And he always knows what to do, and he's always relating it to our faith, and he's always making sure we're going to church. So I'd say he's pretty holy.
I think my sponsor, who's also my uncle, is a great, you know, holy person to me, because his moral values are like, you know, on a 10 scale, 10 being the highest. And he's like a great guy to be around, because he just enjoys everything. It kind of makes, you know, it shows that holiness isn't boring. And he's just a great person, and he displays his values so much.
I think my grandma was definitely a holy person. Like, she was so dedicated to her religion, you know. Nothing stood in the way of her going to church, even like when she couldn't drive because she got so sick. And, you know, like, she always told me stories about the saints, and she was really probably the first one who got me into my religion. She would always tell me stories of St. Margaret, and that became my confirmation name, so.
That's really cool. Has there ever been a time when you felt touched by holiness?
Let's check out what our teens on the street said about this.
Can you think of a time in your life when you felt touched by someone's holiness or in the presence of holiness?
Yeah, my grandfather really touched me because he practiced Catholicism very strongly, and he passed away about 2 years ago.
My uncle, he is the ideal Christian. Everything he did, everything he said, it would all be holy, and at such a young age, like, he just graduated college.
Like, when my grandma, like, underwent 3 heart attacks, lived through 3 of them before he passed away. It's kind of like a cool thing, you know, like, you knew God was with us the whole time, and that, like, he really helped him get through. Also, there was a kid that passed away in her grade about 2 or 3 years ago, and it was really sad in that we knew, like, he was suffering in, like, a lot of pain, like, when God took him away, like, he was a lot happier, and he wasn't, like, miserable.
He went through a lot. He fought. I think I felt it when my great-grandma passed away, and just the night she passed away, when I went to sleep, I felt different that night. Like, I felt like she was kind of by me, and it wasn't weird. It was nice.
Just every time I go to church, I feel like I'm in a holy place.
Especially at church, you can just feel the energy, especially at youth masses, when you just have a bunch of teens in one room just connecting with God, and you just feel the power there.
I could definitely say my youth minister, because he's changed my Catholic life so much that I can't even begin to put it into words, but His Holiness just shines through.
On retreats, I would say I have been touched by other people's holiness.
Definitely my confirmation retreat.
When I go on the fall and spring retreats every year with the Bold Youth Ministry, Saturday nights we have the Eucharistic adoration sometimes. It just gets so intense. I really feel like God's presence is within all of us.
On a retreat once this fall, I think that I was really touched by like everybody's holiness, because a lot of people at Eucharistic adoration were like crying, and then you could really tell that they were affected by their faith.
The Catholic Encyclopedia defines holiness as free self-dedication of a person or community to God.
It is a relationship with God in which the person is being transformed, is moved to selfless service, and desires union with God.
Next, Tony Melendez tells us about a time in his life when he felt touched by holiness.
And how that experience transformed his life and really catapulted his music ministry to an international level.
At first, people wouldn't even believe that I played guitar. You know, they'd come to my mom's house, and they're saying they heard the music because I would play in the bedroom. Well, who's playing the guitar? Tony. Yeah, right. You know, I don't have no arms. How's he going to play the guitar with his feet, you know, or how? And they'd have to come in and look. And then, oh yeah, it's Tony.
It's like no other day before, and even more, you and I will never.
When I sang for the Pope in 1987, you know, he jumped off the stage excited, you know. I don't know if people realize, but he literally says, "I have to kiss him."
Yep.
And I didn't hear it that day. You know, I just hear the young people there were clapping, and Pope jumped down, and next thing I know, he's coming over to me. I really believe that he was filled with the Holy Spirit or something godly, and came over and blessed me with that kiss. Changed my life. I don't think he realized how much it would change my life.
So how did your life take a different turn after that encounter with the Pope?
Wow. I started traveling and singing, and here I am, you know, thinking, you know, my life is not special. I play the guitar with my feet. Yes, that's unique, but that's every day for Tony Melendez. You know, I wake up in the morning, clink, 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 you know, start playing in the morning. So to me, that wasn't different. Maybe to your eyes, others were, you know, playing with your feet is unique. You know, you don't see it very often. With the traveling, the singing, the offers, you know, when you hear you're called. I was literally called by telephones, by people's letters, to do things that I wasn't quite ready to do, which was to minister or to share my music in a godly way. So I was in some spots where my knees were like, blah, 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 blah. I was just shaking, you know, how am I gonna, what do they want from me? It's kind of what I was telling even my mom, my brothers, my friends that were around me. What do they want from me? And I really think it was a little bit of that Holy Spirit that God has sent. And again, I don't know how to foot it into your heart, you know, like a soccer ball. But people want, I really believe people want God and just don't know how to ask for him right.
Yeah. His story is so incredible, but he's really, really humble at the same time. That just shows a lot of his holiness to me.
I think I had one experience that was, I was touched by holiness, and it actually helped me choose my confirmation name. I went to Canada and I visited the Church of St. Anne de Beaupré, and I walked in and there are 2 pillars in the front of the church lined with crutches and canes and just walking instruments that people used, and people had walked into that church with these handicaps and they were able to walk out without their crutches and without their canes because they were miraculously cured at that spot, and they had prayed to St. Anne for intervention, and they were cured. So that just, I was definitely touched by holiness at that site.
But I think people who think they're holy know how to communicate with God, and they've been touched by his holiness. But the people who don't know how to communicate with God are the people that don't think they're holy. And they really can do it in the easiest ways. They're not sure of them, or they don't know how to do it. But once they do, that's how they're touched by holiness, and that's how they can display their holiness to others.
Yeah, I think if people go to church, they can feel holy, because I know when I go, I feel holy. Like one time when I got my confirmation, I know that was a time when I felt very holy. When I went up to the altar and I was getting confirmed by the bishop, I just felt that there was just this holiness in the air. It was a great moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. My confirmation, I really felt God's presence in the church, and it was a miraculous experience.
Next, we asked our teens on the street if they believe that we all have the potential to be holy.
I think that everyone has the potential to be holy.
Oh, we definitely have potential to be holy.
It's whether or not you want to believe in your values and your morals.
Yeah, be really religious and follow your religion.
It's just the way you gotta live your life and make sure you put God first in front of other things.
I think as long as you do good deeds and pray a lot, that everybody has a chance to be holy.
I think that we all have potential to be holy because you just have to be open-minded and you just have to learn how to respect everybody.
It's just a matter of them wanting to open themselves up. If you're not willing to open up, you're not going to move anywhere, and you can't be stubborn and expect the answers to come to you. You have to look for them and understand.
Everyone can be holy if they really want a relationship with God.
It's just finding God for yourself.
I think everyone has that potential. It's just whether you realize it.
we all have the potential to be holy. God doesn't choose everyone, he loves everyone. So he doesn't choose just a specific person.
I believe that everybody has potential to be holy. Everybody's made by God. Everybody can talk to God.
I really liked what some of the girls on the roll-in said about leaving yourself open to become holy, because I think if you open yourself up to really allow what you know about your faith to impact your choices in life, then you can seem holy and really just truly become holy in yourself.
I think, yeah, someone said to be holier, you can be holier, because God didn't choose specifically who he wanted to be holy. He just made everybody holy, and that's basically, you just need to, like you said, be open-minded and just go from there.
I think the thing that really like convinced me of like our holiness that God gave us is confirmation almost, because like you're getting sealed with the Holy Spirit. I mean, that's like what happened to the apostles like back in the day. I mean, you've got the Holy Spirit in you. I mean, how powerful is that? You know, you can do anything. You can really, I mean, that's just such a powerful image for me.
Mm-hmm. I think the best thing you can do is a good deed, because Jesus was always doing good things for other people. So I think to become more holy is to do more good things in your life. And besides, everyone loves a good deed. I mean, who doesn't?
I liked the person that said that God doesn't choose who he wants to be holy, he loves everyone. And I think that kind of shows that we're holy just because we know God. And if you truly want that relationship with God, you're going to be holy.
Next, Tony Melendez gives us some advice on how to become more holy.
What advice do you have for young people who are searching for holiness in their lives?
You know, don't be afraid of God.
Mm-hmm.
We need to settle down sometimes. Sometimes if we just settle down and just think and just open our heart, open our eyes, open our mind to God,
Mm-hmm.
he'll settle in there. And I think he'll help you settle a little more in whatever situation might be hurting you or you might be going through. Prayer is the conversation part of holiness. That's where you could literally say, hey, God,
Yep.
I need you. Where you been? And he's been right there. But, you know, we always have to question, where you been?
Yep.
And then, you know, you start going in with your prayer or, you know, your adoration if you want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite prayer is an all day, hey, God,
Yep.
here I am. It's a constant all day conversation. It's not a formal sit down, maybe rosary or knelt down, you know, in a church or gathered with a few people. My prayer is a constant all day, you know, and it's not verbal like I'm talking with you. It's more just in the head talking to him.
Yep. I think a lot of people don't realize that we can actually have, you know, a conversation with God like you would talk to your best friend.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to know that.
And then, you know, that's what I love about him, is I don't have to speak it to him verbally.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it helps. But I know I could just lay there and not even say nothing with my mouth, but be saying something to him.
I mean, that's just so powerful. I mean, it's kind of like I never thought about it like that, you know what I mean? That we're all holy. It's such a powerful insight. Kind of makes you feel like we got a certain responsibility, not only to be holy, but to act holy, you know what I mean, in today's world.
Yeah, but sometimes it can be challenging to act holy because of when you're out in the real world, not everyone's acting holy, and there can be pressure to follow their ways of living, and you can make some big mistakes that way. So you always have to stay in touch with God and make sure that you're following what he wants you to do.
Yeah, that's when you have to take action, when you have to make sure that you pray and maybe that you do things that are good for society, good for others, and helping in maybe service or other activities.
I think, like, if you just go to church, that's a way of being holy. I know as teenagers it's not like the most fun thing to do, but when you go to church, you're having a moment with God, and you can ask him to help you to be more holy.
Another moment, like Tony Melendez said, if you just lie in bed, you're not using your mouth to speak, you're kind of just communicating with him in an unknown way. And that's a really powerful feeling, and that kind of gives us, you know, the strength to keep pushing on.
Yeah, but I really think that in all, it's the ability to act. Everyone has that sort of holiness in you, but it's the ability to bring your message out, whether it be through praying or through helping someone. It's by displaying that you are holy and this is the way you're gonna bring it out of yourself.
I mean, God's there for you. Like when you're trying to act holy and stuff, sometimes it can be tough, but he wouldn't have given us that responsibility of being holy without like knowing that we'd be able to do it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's just a matter of making the effort to be like, everybody definitely has the potential, and like just going forth and doing it and just standing up for, you know, all your beliefs in God and just letting him fill you up.
Yeah, God creates us all to be holy, but we have to make that decision ourselves. He gives us the option, and we have to choose to live a holy lifestyle if we really want to make him happy.
So it's about taking action to become holy. Living out the holiness of God.
Manifesting it and witnessing to it. It's not an easy task.
Each day there are difficulties to face.
It's tempting to think that holiness is an unattainable goal, like perfection.
But John Henry Newman wrote that if we wish to be perfect, we have nothing more to do than perform the ordinary duties of the day well.
Notice that he doesn't say perform the duties perfectly, but perform them well.
All God asks is that we do our very best every day.
Do you strive for holiness?
We want to know.
Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And one final thought on holiness.
God is holy, and if we share in his life, we are holy too.
At the most fundamental level, we are holy because God is holy.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on Real Faith TV.
God bless.